Hello and welcome. I am Irfan Lodhi. I am a professional planning engineer and delay claim analyst. Let us start now. During the session, if you have any question, you may write down in the chat, or you may also write down onto my Facebook group or YouTube channel in the comment box, because this video is being recorded and it will be uploaded onto my YouTube channel and group. First of all, you should know what is Primavera used for. Primavera P6 is a standard project management software which is used worldwide in the industries such as construction, oil and gas, manufacturing, engineering, etc. And I'm sure most of you are already aware of it. Some of you are working with the construction companies. We use Primavera to plan a project, also to monitor and control the execution stage of the project, and to manage the resource. That is the main purpose, but it is very basic. There are many other purposes which we'll be talking about. Why do you need to learn Primavera? That is the question. If you are here and you want to learn Primavera, you should know why. So Primavera P6 software is mainly being used in planning, project controls, cost control, and also it is being used by delay claim analysts. However, they are always coordinating with top management, project managers, design, engineering, procurement, and construction team to develop a project. And also at the execution period, they are coordinating. So if you are not willing to work as a planning engineer or cost control or project controls, if you are design manager, if you are construction manager, or even if you are site engineer, you should have at least a minimum level of knowledge about Primavera, because all the parties, all the departments are in coordination to develop a schedule or at the time of execution, as I said. If you learn Primavera, you should know when to start a project, how to follow a project, when to finish a project, how many activities to be performed from starting of the project to the handing over stage, and then what types of tools, materials, equipment, resources, staffs are required, and when. Sometimes, for example, you need to have a design engineering team at the beginning of the project, but you don't need a commissioning team at the beginning of the project. So if you have a good resource loaded program, then you would know all these resources when it is required. Then once you have a plan and you have prepared a baseline program, then the next stage is how to monitor and how to control a project. So every week or every month, if you update your program properly, you would know what is your current progress. Are you on schedule or are you behind schedule? How to recover, and there are many things involved. So now we are here to learn the basic of Primavera and move to other slide. What we are going to learn today. So we are going to learn Primavera P6 overview. So I will give you a Primavera overview, some features at the basic level, what is required. And then we'll move to enterprise project structure, which is called EPS. And then we'll move to work breakdown structure, which is called WBS. And then how to add activity. Okay. So when you open the Primavera in your system, you will find out something like that. Now let us go through one by one and see. So we have first option, file. Under the file, we have different types of features. We have a new project, we have open, then we have print previews, import export, that is advanced level, so we'll talk about later. Then we have edit, so you can do some user preferences from here. View, you can have a different kind of layouts. And then project, because there is no open project, so project is not unable to
Please share the
navigate.
screen.
Then enterprise, so start from enterprise, as I said, EPS. We have project codes, activity codes, user defined fields, calendars, and so on. So these all things are being used at advanced level. Now enterprise project structure window is showing me all the enterprises that already created in my database. So if you see P6001, this is the enterprise I added, and you can simply click on add button and you can add the EPS. Let me add another one just to show you. So you just click and it is added. From move left button, you can adjust to the level you want. So at the moment, I am making a level 1 as EPS. Add the name, whatever it is. You have an option, you can move up and down or right. For example, you have an EPS, you want to create another sub EPS, you can create it. So let's stick with Primavera training because it was already added. So let us close this window. So that is the EPS showing which we have added. And if you see another EPS which we have added, it is showing here. It was just for letting you know how to add the EPS. So basically that is our EPS and it is showing one project. So how to add a project? So when you click on your EPS, you have an option. You can click on this button, new project, or you can simply, it is a shortcut key on the right hand side, you can click add. So it will ask you to select the EPS. EPS already selected because we are under Primavera training. Otherwise you have an option, you can click here and you can select whatever the EPS you are going to add a project, which is already existing in your database. So let us close this. Then when you go to next, you have an option to write down the project ID and project name, which we have already created here, training session and P6001.1. Project ID must be unique. Okay. Now, when you click next, you have two options. So the first one to select a project planned start date and must finish by date. But here, because we are going to add a schedule and we want to know what would be our project completion date. So we are not going to add any date here. But if you are preparing a program based on your contract clauses, which is start and finish date, so you can change these dates by clicking and you can select whatever the date is. And similarly on finish date, you can add whatever the date here. Then when you click next, it is showing responsible manager. Then under the responsible manager, you can create your the OBS names, which is not really needful now. So we will leave it as it is, but we will cover this when we will do the third session about resource loading. Then click next. It is showing rate type. This also we'll talk about later, but it is not something you should know about. Then click next and it is showing congratulations. When you click finish, the project will be added. So we'll leave it as it is and consider we have added a project already, which is showing here training session. So we were at project. So at the moment we have added a project. Very good. Now how to open a project? So we'll right click and click on open project. Now the project is opening. Now project is open and it is showing blank. There is nothing. Now we are going to start to add the WBS. So the second part of our training is how to add a WBS. If you see this button, it is called WBS. You have to click on WBS and it is showing my project level. Under the project level, I am going to add further WBS. WBS is a work breakdown structure. For example, if you have design, so you will have one WBS for design. Then after the design, the second stage is engineering. So you will have another WBS engineering. Now let us add a WBS. Again, how to add WBS? You click on plus sign here and a WBS is added. Now you have an option, you can keep it a default ID, which is already created here, or you can change it by clicking whatever as per your requirement. WBS name, I'm going to put here general. Then we have to add another WBS. So we'll click again. And this time you will see this new WBS created as a sub WBS. But we want all the WBS at the moment at level 1. So again, if you see here, there are move left arrow key. So you click on it and it will get you to the first level of WBS. Now we need to write a name. We'll say design, press enter. Now you have another option. Instead of pressing this button, you can select both, press Ctrl C, or select both, right click, copy, and then again paste. Now it is asking all the WBS options, notebook, WBS. We don't have anything now, so it is okay. We click OK. It has added. But if you see when we add it, it is also created a sub WBS. So we need to move left again, and we need to move left again. And because we have duplicated name of the WBS, so we have copied general and design. So it is showing general and -1. Let me get some participant in. They are waiting. All right. So the second WBS is design, third WBS is engineering, then fourth WBS is construction, and then we'll repeat the same. And here we can say testing and commissioning. All right. Now we are going to add sub WBS. So under the design, we would say we will add another WBS, and we will say it is civil. We will add another one, and we will say MEP. Or depending on your requirement, you can. Now you understand how to add the WBS. Now we are going to add the activities. Okay. Now go to the activities. So now if you see here, it is showing blank. So there is no activity. So you have to go to the sort and check out hide it if empty, apply, click OK, and all the WBS are showing here. Now we are going to add the activities. So under the general, we are going to add, again, we'll click this button, we'll add the activities, and we will say start. If you notice, by default, it is showing a start date and finish date. We'll add again another activity, and we'll say finish. Now you have an option to add activity ID. You can change activity ID. So if I say P6 1000, I can do it. If I say P6 2000, I can do it. But if I want to write P6 1000, it will not accept. And it is showing the value you have entered for activity ID is not unique. So all the activity IDs must be unique. All right. Now we have covered how to add EPS. We have covered how to add WBS, and we also covered how to add an activity. And we are going to learn there are 6 activity types. All 6 activity types is a activity details. Okay, under the activity details we have different option. I will just talk about. And then here it is Gantt chart. The bars you can see in this section, it is called Gantt chart. Okay, and under the Gantt chart you can see the days here, and you have an option you can select the time scale. Let me select month and week. So the time scale will set to week. It is showing every week from July, August, and you can just scroll right or left to see the Gantt chart. So start activity, if you see here, it is showing only start date but not finish date. But the activity we added, it is showing a start date and finish date and having some duration. So let me tell you why. This activity is a project start activity, and it is a milestone activity.
That's a milestone.
So the milestone activity is a point where you just start and this activity is finished. For example, you are going to start your project. It doesn't take some duration to start your project. It is a point you started your project. So when you click on this activity and go to activity details, under general, you have activity type option. Activity type option, you will click on this drop down button, and it will give you an option to select some of the activity type. There are 6 activity types. Now we have selected start milestone, and it is showing 0 duration and only start date. Now finish, we have selected finish milestone, and it is showing only finish date and 0 duration but not a start date. So this is how these milestones behave in Primavera. And these milestones, then civil design activity I have added. It is task dependent activity. You can select from here. Now task dependent activity is something that have a duration, at least some hours or days or months. It has a start date and it has finish date. All right. Now next is WBS summary. What is WBS summary? If you see MEP design, it is a WBS summary. So I selected MEP design as WBS summary. It is having some duration. It is having a start date and finish date. But how it works, we will see now. For task dependent activity, I will change to 65 days, and you would notice that finish date is extended, and now it is 2nd September 2020. However, MEP design activity, which is WBS summary, it is showing 15th August. And now WBS, on WBS level, it shows 2nd September 2020. Because all the WBS start and finish always take the dates from the activities. So start on WBS level, the start date takes the minimum date of the below activities, and finish date always take the maximum date of the activity. So it is taking maximum date. But now we are going to see how WBS summary activity type behaves in Primavera. We have to schedule the project. If you see this button, it is called schedule. You can simply press F9 as a short key. Otherwise, you just click on schedule, and it opens up a window. We have data date. You can select data date whatever you want, but at the moment when we are preparing at the tender stage or a baseline program, we always have a start date here. Okay. Now we click schedule, and we'll see this WBS summary activity is changed to 2nd September automatically. So the activity type WBS summary behaves that it takes start and finish date same as the WBS level, which is there. Now the remaining is level of effort and resource dependent. Now resource dependent activity, let me give you some idea about resource dependent. Resource dependent activity we will cover in third session, which will be all about resource loading and creating a resource. So resource level activity dependent on the resource calendar. We assign a activity calendar and the resource calendar in our program. Calendar topic also we will cover in the next stage. So we have, for example, you have one resource, and this resource is working during the night time only. So during the night time, it is not your normal activity calendar timing. Your normal activity calendar timing, let's say from 7 to 5. And when you select activity type as resource dependent, it will consider the timing from resource and based on the resource calendar assigned. And sometimes if you people are related to civil works, then you know that some of the period is not good for doing the soft escaping. So for soft escaping activities, we switch the activities and we can make it resource loaded, and these resources only will be done at the suitable time. Okay, so in this lecture we have covered how to add EPS, we have covered how to create a project, we have covered how to add work breakdown structure, which is WBS. We have also covered how to add activities, and in the next session we are going to cover how to assign the relationships, because if you see these two activities, it is starting on the same date and it is finishing on the same date. And also in the next session, when we assign the relationship, I will show you how a level of effort activity behaves in Primavera, because it is all dependent on relationships. Okay, now I'm going to chat. If you want to ask any question, you can ask, please.
Please, can you repeat this WBS summary step which you define for MEP design like this?
Okay, Rafia, for level of effort activity, we are not going to talk about relationship, but let me assign some relationship and I will show you how the level of effort activity behaves. Because I'm not going to elaborate about the relationship, otherwise some people who does not have any idea about relationship, they might be confused. So now, if you see this level of effort activity, project duration, it is showing 0. Why? Because it is linked with start activity as a start, which means when my start activity will start, the project duration will start, and when my finish activity will finish, then this duration activity will finish. But to elaborate further, I need to add one more relationship here. Okay, now at the moment, our finish date is showing 19 June as a completion. Let us schedule and we'll see. Okay, if you notice here, the finish date, because I assigned the relationship, so the finish date, it is showing 2nd September as a finish date for the project. And if you notice the level of effort activity, project duration, it was showing earlier 0 and I did not put any duration here. So this level of effort activity already extended as per the start and finish activity. I think, Rafia, it is clear for you. Now the next, Sayyed asked a question about WBS summary. Okay, Sayyed, WBS summary is something very simple. And normally we don't use WBS summary in the program, but I will give you an idea. Let's say I will add another activity under shop drawing. I would say MEP shop drawing. Okay, and now MEP shop drawing is my task dependent activity, and I would say the duration 20 days. So if you see, the finish date of this activity is showing 11 July because it is starting on 19th June. It is having 20 days duration. So from 19 June, based on the calendar, it is a working day. So we are getting a finish date as 11 June. But if you notice this civil shop drawing activity having 4-day duration, it has a start date and finish date based on the duration. And on the WBS level, as I explained to you, that WBS dates, WBS start date takes the activities start earliest date. So for example, if you have 10 activities and having some dates, so the WBS level, it would show only the minimum, the earliest date as a start, and as a finish date on WBS level, it will take the late date of the activities. So in this case, we have two activities. One is 23rd June 2020 and second is 11th July. So it is picking up the maximum date here, which is 11 July. But now I'm going to change civil shop drawing activity type as WBS summary, and we will schedule the project. And if you see, This WBS summary is already extended to the same date as it was showing on WBS level. So it is very simple and it is not really in use when you have a project. What's the basic difference between WBS and EPS? Okay, it's a good question for all of you. EPS is an enterprise structure. Let me take you to the EPS first. Now that is my EPS. It is the enterprise structure. In this structure, we are having only a project. So if you see, that is our project. If you see another EPS, that is having some other projects which are not open at the moment. If you see another one, we have one EPS. It was my last company, and under it we have further EPS. So for this company, I had more than one project. So I have one EPS is for Tanzania airport, and under that we have different projects. But when we go to WBS, when we go to activity, under WBS, we have the activity. So the difference between WBS and EPS, that WBS having activities and EPS having the projects. That is the basic difference. Have you said the cylinder? Just we did in MS calendar. Okay, Ibad, the MS project is something totally different, and it is very hard to assign the calendar there. But in Primavera, it is very simple to add a calendar. As I said, in the next session, I'm going to define about calendar, and I'm going to define about the relationships and the relationship logic. So we will do it in the next session. But as you ask, I will give you an example that under the EPS, we have a calendar. Now we have global calendar, we have resource calendar, and we have project calendar. If I click on project, there is no calendar showing because the calendar on these activity already assigned as default, which is here. So we have an option, we can add a calendar, but again, we are going to demonstrate about calendar relationship in the next. I think we have done so far today. Arslan asked a question, original duration, can we change it to years? Yeah, original duration is a duration which we assign to each activity except level of effort and milestone activity, because as I explained, the milestone activity there is no duration, and level of effort activity, it takes the duration based on the effort and based on the relationship. So for the original duration for activity, for example civil design, and I would say I can complete this activity in 20 days. So you can type 20 here, and the dates will extend or squeeze based on the duration. And remember, this duration is not calendar days. This duration is based on the calendar you have assigned, and mainly it's a working days. So when and also in the calendar, when you assign, sometimes you are working on a project, and the timing of the project is, for example, 5 days in a week. So it will consider the duration based on it. And Arsalan, answer to your question again, like we can change it to years. Yes, you can change it to year. You can put here 365 days or whatever the working day according to your calendar. But technically, if you are preparing a program and you are putting an activity having more than 50 or 60 days duration, I believe no one will accept, because when you have a program, this program is to track and monitor for each activity that how you are going to finish your project. But if you have an activity for a whole year, then it is useless. Okay, the question here again from Sayed, how many sessions approximately we will complete this training, and can we have a full schedule? Look, I'm going to give you a basic idea about how to create a schedule at basic level. Once you know the basic level, you will start learning with the time how the things happen. There are many things. It's like a Excel software. When you know the Excel basic, you can create whatever you want. But if you want to do advanced, you have to develop yourself, and you will keep on learning. So Primavera is a big software, but I'm sure in 3 to 4 trainings, you will be able to create a schedule, a basic schedule, and afterwards you will keep on learning. So it depends on you how you want to learn. If you go to any institute to learn, they will also do the same, but whatever we have covered in one session, they might do in 5 sessions, because they are getting paid of it. Hassan asked a question: after scheduling, I need desired finish date given by client. How to? Yes, so let me take you. So we'll go to project by clicking on this button, project. And now we click on our project. Now under the project, you have different sections. You have one section about date. When you prepare a program and you don't know the finish date, you leave it empty as a must finish by date, because you want to know after all the scheduling, what would be your finish date. But if you have a case that you have signed the contract or client gave you a date, you can select from here any date. For example, I select January 2022, 31st, and you can select from here. That's it. All right. Thank you everyone for participating, and I will see you next week in the next session.